Hi, this is Jen Rubin, and this is Jen Rubin's Green Room. We have a week of contrasts. In the wake of Trump's shambolic press conference at Mar-a-Lago and his ridiculous glitch-filled interview with Elon Musk, he appeared outside Bedminster on Thursday to presumably talk about holding down consumer prices. It was another rambling, incoherent dialogue in which he didn't take questions for 40 or 45 minutes. He hardly talked about prices at all, basically spent his time insulting Kamala Harris, talking about how his economy was the greatest ever. He seems to be incapable of directly answering a question or even reading off a paper with any comprehension, whatever policy positions his people typed up for him. So that's Donald Trump. The press, however, continues to treat him like a normal candidate, even when, later that day, he insults Medal of Honor winners. That's hard to do, insulting the bravest soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors we have ever had, some of whom gave their life. He insults them, saying that the Presidential Medal, which is a civilian award, very nice, but nowhere in comparison to the Medal of Honor, is better. And he gives it to Miriam Adelson during his presidency, and that's better because she's perfectly fine looking. His disdain for injury and for sacrifice by our military is not in dispute. He says he never said suckers, losers. Of course he did. This is how he talks. And the man is so stupid, he doesn't know enough to keep his trap shut. So now he says it on camera. That's Donald Trump, mentally, intellectually unfit for anything, let alone the presidency. On the other side of the equation, you have Kamala Harris giving a detailed policy speech in North Carolina today, outlining a range of policy provisions, including measures to expand the stock of housing, including a so-called baby boom reward. That is a $6,000 credit for kids under the age of 1, helps finance families. It is a continuation and an extension of the work she did in this administration. And it is a perfect example that she is out for the middle class, the working class, while Trump is stuck in trickle-down economics. There's nothing about billionaire cuts there. It's talking about tax cuts, the child tax credit, and this new bonus payment for working class families, middle class families. You see, Donald Trump is there for himself and his cronies. That's how he could imagine doing a press conference, which wasn't a press conference, outside his private country club when he's talking about consumer prices. What does he know about the middle class? What does he know about working people? Nothing. And there could be no better demonstration of this than their approach to economics. And to call Trump having an approach to economics is itself a misnomer. And this is the difficulty. It's hard not to normalize it because what does the press call it? He addressed consumer prices. No, he didn't address anything. He just ranted and raved. Trump tried to say something on policy, maybe, but it's hard for the press, and they refuse to even try to capture the inanity, the incoherence, and really the moral depravity of this man. So we end the week before the convention with Kamala Harris going like this in the polls and Donald Trump's mental state going like this. The two are absolutely related. Despite what he says, he can see the crowd size that she gets. He can see the polls. He knows that things have turned around. And he's panic stricken, as well he should be, because the one thing he hates being is a loser, which it looks like he may well be. And of course, this time, losing means he has to face the music in criminal court. He may go to jail. So no wonder he's disintegrating before our eyes. No wonder he is becoming even less coherent. No wonder we hear more of the glitching, the slurring, the lisping. This is what is happening. And the fact that it is happening to him because a dignified, intelligent African American and Asian American woman has seized the political landscape, taken it by storm, is the final coup de grace. She is fighting Trump not only by pointing out his ridiculousness. I love her communications team, by the way. After that Bedminster non-press conference, they sent out a memo to the press. What was that? Which is the perfect response. It's like, what is he doing? Who is this person? Why is he behaving this way? The press won't level with the American people, so at least the campaign can say what those of us who are watching and listening actually see and hear. So at any rate, Kamala Harris is commanding the stage. She's not only pointing out his ridiculousness, but she's creating a joyful, uplifting, fun movement. And remember the Zoom calls of the COVID era? We dreaded them. They were deadening. They were exhausting. We hated them. Well, she has completely reinvigorated, and now they are joyous gatherings, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 people of various groups for Kamala Harris. She's creating community. She's creating connectivity. She's creating a fun atmosphere. And that's as important to winning an election as anything. Barack Obama was the last one to create this sense of joyfulness. Now, in the first Trump campaign, he had a movement, all right, but it was based on fear, anger, resentment. But it was a movement. And that's in part how he won. Because the average person may not be interested in politics, but they want to be part of something a little bit bigger than themselves. They don't want to miss out. They don't want to feel isolated. Oh, their friends are doing it? Oh, that's a good reason for them to join too. It's not very complicated. That's human nature. And when you see a video of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz sitting at a table, talking like normal people, what music do you like? What era did you grow up in? What kind of car did you have? What kind of tacos do you like to eat? It screams normal, normal, normal. Normal, middle class, decent, polite. I can't imagine Donald Trump even having such a conversation. It would go into some rabbit hole in which he boasted about some terrific thing that he did, which he probably never did. Donald Trump is incapable of having a normal conversation because his brain is not normal. So this week in Chicago, Kamala Harris needs to keep the excitement going, and she's doing that with two big campaign events during the lead up and during the convention. On Sunday, she's doing a bus tour in Western Pennsylvania. And during the week, she is going back to Wisconsin for a big rally. So she is very much aware that the momentum, the excitement has to be continued. But I think you're also going to see some other things. I think you're going to see, maybe not her, but I think other people like Pete Buttigieg, who is going to be speaking during prime time, really take it to Trump on his inanities, on his really disgusting treatment of veterans and service people, about his greed, his indifference to the lives of ordinary people. You're going to hear a lot of that. It's an opportunity to take it to him. But from her, I think you're going to see this different, joyful, happy movement. And she can let the rest of them take it to Trump, and they will. And she can preserve the aura and the impression of a winner, of someone who is patriotic, unlike Trump, and someone who gets what the job is about, helping other people, not helping yourself, helping other people. Now, along the way, I think she'd be wise to do three other things. First, I think she needs to reinforce that she is commander-in-chief material. After all, she met with Zelensky multiple times. She has represented the country at NATO summits. She is an internationalist. She respects our military. Trump does not. Trump wants to throw NATO to the wolves. He wants to carve up Ukraine and give a chunk to his buddy Putin. He is both a isolationist and a fawning fanboy for dictators. She needs to make that distinction and reassure people, and yes, in part because she's a woman and there will be people who doubt her, that she will be a resolute commander-in-chief. Second thing she's got to do, I think she has to stress that this notion that there's somehow a bunch of socialists is nuts. What Democrats are for is doing things that people like. The things she's advancing are very popular. So if, in fact, giving a child tax credit or stimulating the housing market is socialism, well, sign me up. Her things are tangible, are pro-family, are pro-economy. So I think she needs to take that bull by the horns and explain the only radicals in this race are the MAGA Republicans. And finally, I think she needs to go after what is obviously a sore point for Donald Trump, and that is he is a loser. That's right. She needs to turn the knife. She can point out that her crowds are bigger than his. She can point out that she raised more money than he does. She can contribute to the further deterioration of Donald Trump. All she has to do is show how successful she is, show what a movement she has created, and compare it to the dark, dingy, isolated figure who, frankly, hasn't left his country clubs to go out on a rally in weeks now. In other words, she needs to come across as a winner. Commander-in-chief, a run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-road Democrat, and a winner. And I think if she does those things, she'll sustain the really remarkable momentum she has had going into the convention. So I'll see you next week from Chicago. In the meantime, tell your friends, tell your relatives. They can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever they get their podcasts. Bye-bye.